What's up, guys? Why do you need a smartwatch? Perhaps to receive new notifications, answer phone calls, control the music, etc. However, I think the smartwatches are most useful for sports, because they not only count your steps and walked distance, but also your heart rate, blood oxygen, blood pressure, etc. Today we are going to talk about the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra smartwatch, which has all the features I mentioned earlier. In addition, it should be a great watch for sports, because it has a dual band and 6 satellite navigation systems, including GPS, built-in compass, rugged design, and more than 170 sports modes. Let's see if the new KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra watch is really good for sports or just for everyday use. You know, we have already tested some KOSPET watches on our channel Tech Brothers, but that was many years ago. Smartwatches have become much more functional today, so we can see on the box that this is a rugged smartwatch with many certificates. There are also main features of the watch on the sides. We will talk about them all later in this video. Opening the box, we see the watch dial. Then we have another box with a strap, magnetic charging cable, user manual, screen protector, and wipes to clean the screen before installing the protector. You know, it is a bit strange that the watch has a rugged design, including Corning Gorilla Glass 3 on the display, but the screen protector still comes with it. I think it is better to apply it to the watch screen. Although the watch on the box has a silver dial, I have a black color version and it comes with a black dial. If you buy a watch in silver color, the strap will remain black, but the dial will be silver. By the way, you can also buy a steel strap for your watch. I think it looks awesome, but unfortunately I don't have one. Anyway, the silicone strap is also good. In addition, it is a branded strap for this watch, because it has Tank written on it. The buckle is made of stainless steel. The strap is removable, and the watch is compatible with other 22mm straps. Since we're already talking about materials, the bezel on the watch is made of zinc alloy, while the main body is stainless steel. Only the bottom cover is made of polyamide, but the health sensors are coated with glass fiber, which is fire resistant. You know, it really looks like a rugged watch. It has very high quality materials and high build quality. The KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is military grade, with an IP69K and 5 ATM water resistance. On this picture, you can see that the watch has protection against just about everything. I cannot check it all, but at least we can dip the watch in running water. Although the touch screen doesn't work underwater, we can use the physical buttons to control the watch. By the way, there are 4 buttons on the sides, such as up, down, sell and back. In fact, you can control the watch with the buttons only without the touch screen. That's awesome! As you know, it is more convenient to use physical buttons than a touch screen while doing sports. This is another proof that the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is a sports watch. By the way, you can not only use the watch while washing your hands or taking a shower, but even in a swimming pool at a depth of up to 50 meters. There is even a swimming mode available with a stroke recognition, stroke count and stroke rate, average pace, lap count and heart rate monitoring. I really wish I had a swimming pool nearby to check it out. Talking about display of the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra. It has a diagonal of 1.43 inches, 466 by 466 pixels resolution, AMOLED panel, and 1000 nits peak brightness. I have already told you that the screen has a Corning Gorilla Glass 3, which is important for a rugged sports watch. You can adjust the screen brightness in the settings, but it would be nice if the watch would automatically change the brightness depending on the environment. Since the KOSPET watch has an AMOLED panel, there is an always-on display mode support. You can select the Follow Current Watch or a custom mode. I like that the always-on display dial is selectable. That's something you don't often see on the smartwatch. However, keep in mind that the always-on display mode reduces the battery life of the watch, so I recommend you to use it on a schedule, because you probably don't need it at night. Okay, let's move on to the functions of the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra smartwatch. First, there are 8 watch faces out of the box. One of them is even customizable, and you can choose the functions you will have on the watch face. However, there are many other watch faces in the app on smartphone. I think there are over 100 of them here. And there are even new watch faces for the always-on display. Amazing! You know, we will talk about other functions in the app a little bit later. Then you can swipe right to read new notifications. By swiping down, we will see a shortcut menu with Bluetooth phone calls, screen brightness, silent mode, battery level, do not disturb mode, and find phone. You can also add many other functions to this menu by pressing the plus icon. If you swipe up from the watch face, you will enter Notifications Center. All the main functions of the watch are here, such as daily activity, music player, heart rate, blood oxygen and blood pressure monitors, stress, emotion, weather, alarm, sleep, workout records, women's health, barometric altimeter, stopwatch, and timer. You can customize this menu by pressing the Edit button. Finally, you can find the app list by swiping left on the watch face. Here we can call daily activity, workout, workout records, heart rate, sleep, blood pressure, blood oxygen, stress, emotion, music, voice assistant, weather, compass, barometer, breathing exercise, notifications, stopwatch, alarm, timer, calculator, remote shutter, flashlight, find phone, and women's health. So the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra has many functions, and overall I like its interface. It is intuitive and easy to use. By the way, I was saying that you can only use physical buttons to control the watch instead of the touchscreen. You can read about the functions of each button in the user manual. The settings menu of the new KOSPET watch allows you to change the watch face and select language. Then you can find always-on display settings, but I have already shown them to you. In the display and brightness settings, you can change the brightness, display duration, and wake functions. The watch also has sound and vibration settings, such as media audio, silent mode, volume, and vibration mode. Themes are actually the style of the app list menu: honeycomb, turbulence, list, halo, whirling, and waterfall. Then you can set a password for the watch. There is also time and date, do not disturb, sport detection, bottom key settings, cover lock, QR code, and system menu. You know, the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is truly a sports watch, not a fitness watch like many others on the market. Okay, now let's take a look at the app on the smartphone. The application is called KOSPET Fit, and you can download it on Android and iOS devices. As usual, in the app you can track your daily activity, sleep, heart rate, and more. There are also sports modes and sports records available in the app. In the device menu, we can see the connected smartwatch. Then we can go to the watch face gallery. I have told you about them before. And there is also a display brightness, raise to wake, find phone, weather settings, and more settings. After that, you can enable or disable phone notifications, SMS notifications, app notifications. and set a sanitary reminder and alarm. The health monitoring settings include heart rate, blood pressure, blood oxygen, stress, and mood. From the contacts menu, you can select phone numbers to make quick calls to them from the watch. There is even an emergency SOS in the app. By the way, if you go to Profile, you will see third-party apps here. It looks like the data can be synchronized with Apple Health and even Strava. That's very good. Everything says that KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is a sports watch, but let's take a look at workout modes. There are many workout modes available on the watch. I think about 100. Let's try an outdoor walk. First, the watch is trying to connect to the GPS. After that, we can press Go button. Now there is heart rate, pace, distance, calories, steps, and cadence. You can also swipe left to control the music on your phone. By the way, the sport mode cannot be minimized to use other functions of the watch. I'm wondering if it is possible to answer phone calls while sport mode is running. Let's check it out. Yes, as you can see, you can take calls when you're exercising. That's very good. Now I want to take a little walk outside. After about a 25 minutes walk, we can end the workout mode. Now the watch has workout data on it. We can see total training time, total distance, calories, heart rate zones, and even the route. By the way, there is only a route without a map on the watch, but you can open the app on smartphone and see the route on the map. The app also has some useful details and charts about your workout. You know, I have a medical-grade electric blood pressure monitor, which also measures heart rate. Let's measure heart rate, blood pressure, and blood oxygen on the KOSPET watch and this device. As you can see, heart rate is almost the same, about 60 BPM. However, the blood pressure readings are very different. The electric blood pressure monitor reads 102/67, while the watch says my blood pressure is 135/77. My normal blood pressure is about 100/70, so unfortunately the watch is wrong. KOSPET watch also measures blood oxygen levels, but I don't have a separate pulse oximeter. The smartwatch reads 95%. Another feature of the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is Bluetooth phone calls. Once you have added contacts in the app on your smartphone, you can call them from the watch. There are also call logs, keypad, and SOS available on the watch. When you call someone, you can see the contact's name, phone number, hang up button, mute and volume. When you get a call, you can pick up or hang up. You know, the call quality is pretty good. I think you can even make a quick call when you're exercising. It's also important to talk about the battery. The KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra has a battery capacity of 470 mAh. The manufacturer promises up to 15 days in a typical usage mode and up to 8 days in heavy usage mode. You should note that the battery life with always-on display mode is only 5 days. By the way, when playing sports with GPS enabled, the watch will last 35 hours, but you are unlikely to exercise for 35 hours non-stop. Overall, the battery life up to 15 days is very good for such a functional smartwatch like the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra. You know, I didn't expect much from a KOSPET smartwatch, but it is actually a very good sports watch. I like its stainless steel body and zinc alloy bezel. Overall, the build quality and design say it is a flagship level watch. Since it is a sports watch, it has 4 buttons on the sides that can completely replace the touchscreen. The display is very high quality because it is an AMOLED panel with high resolution and brightness. The watch has a very nice and intuitive interface with many functions. You know, I checked the built-in GPS as well as heart rate, blood pressure and blood oxygen, and I think they are pretty accurate, except the blood pressure. In my opinion, the KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra is one of the best sports smartwatches for over $100. Thank you for watching. See you soon!